Hi there, everybody. Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles, the channel where we talk about all things rock related, as the name implies. And the rambles part, well, that's just me going into all different directions in my collection and what I've come across on YouTube, etc., etc. So, what I'm going to be waffling on about today is music that I've been listening to of late, and as you get into moods and you want to listen to this and you want to listen to that. So that's what happened with these. And the first one I'm going to chat about is an artist who's still going today. In fact, he's just released a new album, which I haven't really given a good listen to yet. I'm talking about Robert Plant. Of course, ex-Led Zeppelin. Had quite a large discography in his solo career. But the one I listened to was this one. Robert Plant's The Principle of Moments, which was his second solo album, and this came out in the year 1980 something. Gee, this writing is so terribly small. See if I can find anything in the inside that'll tell me the date. I love it when this happens. 1983, the year before I started my music retail career. Just out of the army. Anyway, that's an aside. So what is this album like? Well, 1983, so it's going to have that god-awful drum sound which permeates throughout the 80s in rock albums. You know, that sort of tinny sound which is relevant, not relevant, but you can hear it on this album. In spite of the fact that you have on drums Barrymore Barlow, who's probably one of the best drummers ever, and he was part of Jethro Tull for quite a while. Phil Collins is on here. I mean, there's two amazing drummers, and yet they've got to work with this terrible sound. Anyway, the other guys are Robbie Blunt, Jez Woodruff, and Paul Martinez. I don't know how well you can see that, but there they all are. That's Barrymore Barlow right at the bottom, Phil Collins, and then there's the other three. So let's see if I can. Guitars, Robbie Blunt, so he plays guitars. Keyboards, Jez Woodruff, and I'm not mistaken, he appears on some of the Sabbath stuff as well. I think he's on Never Say Die. I stand to be corrected. Bass, Paul Martinez. Drums, Phil Collins. And drums, Barrymore Barlow on a couple of tracks, I think 2 tracks. Backing vocals, John David and Ray Martinez. Martinez. Engineered by Pat Moran, mixed by Benny. The sound on this is also so 80s, you know. If this had more of an analog feel to it, like his first album did, after the Zeppelin breakup and what have you, Pictures at 11, I think this album would have resonated with me a bit more. But yeah, that sound just puts me off. Anyway, what are the tracks on here? There were a couple of hits off here. Slide that back in. And there he is in all his glory with his shortish hair back in those days. Other Arms, In the Mood. That's the one hit. I don't know, very commercial, very sort of, I don't know, hard to pinpoint exactly what style he was going for here. Messing with the Mekon, and then Reckless Love. Some nice guitar work from Robbie Blunt. But this is in no ways Zeppelin. You can hear this is a complete departure. In fact, this album and the one that followed, Shaken and Stirred, was very much him going off on his own direction. That's the one thing about Robert Plant, is he's never followed a trend. You know, when he left Zeppelin, everybody was expecting him to do Zeppelin-like albums, but he's gone in all different directions. And his most recent one, he's kind of sticking with that folky thing, pastoral vibe that he's been having for the past few albums. Anyway, Reckless Love, that's on side 1. Then through with a 2-step, which is quite a cool track. Horizontal Departure, Stranger Here Than Over There. And the one big hit of this album, Big Log. It's got quite a hypnotic refrain to it. It's kind of song that sticks in your head. And now I remember there was a music video that came with that particular track, and Robert Plant looking very moody in the in the video. So there we go. That was my first album that I listened to. I hadn't heard this for so long, so I thought, what the hell? I have a few other on vinyl, and then of course I've got some on CD as well. The other one that I think I must give another listen to is Mighty Rearranger, which is much later. Really nice album as well. So there we go. The Principle of Moments. Then I had to listen to an album which is actually like a supergroup. 3 members of the Yardbirds and a few guest appearances. So the band only made 2 albums. And like I mentioned, they're kind of a supergroup. So in the band you had John Fiddler, all lead vocals, acoustic and electric guitars, backing vocals, percussion and occasional synthesizers. So he's the non-Yardbirds part of it. And then you got 3 guys who of course were in the Yardbirds. Jim McCarty, drums, percussion, backing vocals. Chris Drazier, who recently passed away, on rhythm guitar, percussion, occasional backing vocals. Paul Samuel Smith, bass guitar, backing vocals, percussion, occasional synthesizers. And our thanks to somebody called Dezeal, who played rhythm and lead guitar on almost every track, sang backing vocals and played percussion on many of them. And then there are some guest appearances, and you're also ex-Yardbird gentlemen, which I'll mention in a sec. The band was called A Box of Frogs, and this is their first album, which is a self-titled. I got this from Ragtime Records many years ago. Well, I actually think I picked this up at a vinyl fair, and originally this was sold from Ragtime Records in Cape Town. Yeah, it's an interesting album. It's rock, some nice guitar work on here, but there's definite pop sensibilities, and that's pretty much what the Yardbirds were. And there were a few tracks on here that I think had made some sort of waves in the music scene. Track one is Back Where I Started, which is one of my favorites on here. Some great lead vocal work as well from his name, D-Z-A-L, Dzal. And on that track, here we go, Additional Frogs. Jeff Beck on lead guitar. Mark Feltham on harmonica. There's some nice harmonica on that track. And then a guy called Peter John Vitesi on keyboards. And you might recognize that name. He's a guy who also played with Jethro Tull for a while. So this album came out in 1984, the year after the Robert Plant I've just shown you. Harder, also a cool track. Max Middleton on keyboards, and he was part of Jeff Beck's group, so there's the Jeff Beck connection. Another Wasted Day, which is a really nice track with a sort of also like a cool rhythm to it. Jeff Beck's on there as well as Peter John Vitesi. Love Inside You, Max Middleton on keyboards. And then The Edge, that's the last track. And guess who plays slide guitar on that track? Rory Gallagher. So there's all kinds of people on here, fairly big names. My favorite track on the first one on side 2, Two Steps Ahead, with some smoking lead guitar from Jeff Beck. And you can tell it's him straight away. You know, he had such a distinctive style to his guitar. And then Into the Dark, we got Rory Gallagher featuring again on the slide guitar on electric sitar. Didn't know you got an electric sitar, but anyway, you live and learn. Max Middleton on keyboards and Guy Barker on trumpet. Then Just a Boy again, Peter John Vitesi on piano, and then Poor Boy, Additional Frogs, Jeff Beck on lead guitar again. I seem to remember reading some, because there was a follow-up album, which I think I have on my hard drive, but it wasn't as great as this one, and I have a feeling that Jimmy Page, also an ex-Yardbird, appears on that second album. I might be wrong. But this is one worth checking out. It's quite rare. I found this, like I said, at a vinyl fair. Quite lucky because I've been looking for this for some time. So if you see this, grab it. It's got some excellent songs, great songwriting. Obviously with ex-Yardbird guys, you know, they know their stuff. And yeah, like I mentioned, some great instrumental or guitar work from Jeff Beck as well. Very interesting cover that. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but it's just a self-titled album. There we go. Another album that takes me back to my disco days, going to the disco and dancing to this album. He did change his style, this gentleman, later on, went more into the jazz field. But this album and the one called I'm the Man, which I must still find. Joe Jackson, album called Look Sharp. I just love that minimalist cover there with the shoes looking sharp. And there he is at the back. There's old Joe Jackson, much younger Joe Jackson. There's not a bad track on this album, and it's all upbeat, and it's great lyrics as well. He was a great songwriter. I'm not too familiar with the guys in the band. Gary Sanford on guitar, Graham Maybe on bass, Dave Houghton on drums, Joe Jackson vocals, piano, and harmonica. Is a great keyboardist and a good harmonica player as well. All songs written and arranged by Joe Jackson. So this came out in, was it 79 or 1980? Pretty sure it was either one or the other. 1980. No. It says 19. No, it wasn't 1990. It was 1980. I'm sure of it. This must be a re-release. Anyway, be that as it may, I'm sure it was 1980 because I remember those days I was in the discos listening to this stuff. But yeah, it was probably 1980. One More Time. A lot of these songs, you'll be whistling them in your head later on for a long time. Sunday Papers, which got some great lyrics. It's the one line, Granny doesn't go out anymore, just sits at home and rolls her spastic eyes. I just love that particular line. And it's so funny if you listen to the lyrics in that song. It's all about all the news that you got. It came via the Sunday newspaper. And I remember here, that was the big thing. You wait for Sunday to get all the Skinner and everything else, all the drama. And nowadays with social media, newspapers are just about blasé or passé, I should say. Sunday Papers, really great. Then the first big hit, Is She Really Going Out With Him? I remember that was a big hit for him, yeah. Happy Loving Couples, a song about relationships and that kind of thing. And then Throw It Away, which has got some excellent drumming. Some great stuff on here. Side 2, Baby Stick Around. Look Sharp, the title track, excellent. Fools in Love, which is a kind of a more mellow track with almost like a reggae beat to it. Very interesting stuff. Do the Instant Mash, which is an upbeat song which got everybody on the floor. Pretty Girls and Got the Time, which is also upbeat. Excellent album. Do yourselves a favor. If you don't have this new collection, go out and find it, download it, whatever you want to do, but just get hold of this. It'll stick in your head, I promise you. So lastly, I want to chat about a band that I've been listening to of late. And this is a band that I only got into late in my music journey. I was a full-on metalhead back in the day, and this band just never, meant anything to me. I felt they were a bit lightweight. They've been called prog, orchestral prog, I suppose you'd call what, but they wrote great songs. That's a lot of pop songs, a lot of pop-like songs, I suppose you'd call it. Memorable stuff, and these are also songs that'll stick in your head. In fact, I've been singing the one song Tuesday afternoon. It's been in my head for days, so that should give it away. I'm talking about the Moody Blues, and the reason I'm talking about them is recently we lost another one, John Lodge, the bass player, vocalist and songwriter of the Moody Blues. He passed away at the age of 82, sadly. So yeah, I've been getting into some Moody Blues, and I have a fair selection here on vinyl. And I think I have the ones that you need to get. There's quite a few that I am missing though, but those are the later ones. I think the ones I have are the essential ones. Starting off with Days of Future Past, which is probably from 67 or 68. 67. Excellent songs on here. The Day Begins, Dawn, the Morning, Lunch Break, the Afternoon, Evening, and the Night. Nights in White Satin. So I mean, you can't go wrong with this. And this is when they were starting out. This wasn't their first album. The first album I think was called This Is the Moodies or something. I don't have that one. Apparently that's very different. There they are at the back. So yeah, Days of Future Past, that's one to get. In Search of the Lost Chord, another great album. There they are, looking very young. The only guy left now is Justin Hayward. That gentleman there. The rest of them are all passed on, sadly. Excuse me. And one of my favorite tracks on here, Ride My Seesaw. Love that. Legend of a Mind, which is all about drugs. Excuse me. I'm talking way too much here. Voices in the Sky. Yeah, Another one that you need to get. Some great work on the Mellotron, which is what they became known for, that particular type of keyboard. Great vocal harmonies. Songwriting was good. Musicianship was good. They also played at, what year was this? Was this 1970? So they played at the Isle of Wight as well. That was a big thing for them. 68, so this was prior to them playing at the Isle of Wight. Excellent stuff. Next up, On the Threshold of a Dream. There we go. Always had these interesting covers. And that was still on the Derham label there. I picked all of these up at second hand. This one's got a nice thing with all the lyrics. I picked this up at a vinyl fair somewhere. They're still looking very young there. With those funky hairdos they had back in the day. This was 1969. So yeah, I think they started in 68. You want to talk about fashion, folks? There we go. Check those pants out, man. Cool. Yeah, also a great album. What are the tracks on here? Let's have a look. Lovely to See You in the Beginning. Dear Diary, that was a great track. Deep Within You. Share Our Love. Never Comes the Day, Lazy Day. And their drummer, John Edge, I think that was his name, he's also passed on. Graham Edge, sorry, not John Edge, Graham Edge. He was a great songwriter as well. He wrote kind of the weird stuff for them. Next one, To Our Children's Children. There we go. Try and say that when you've had a few. Yeah, there we go. That's them sitting around a fire there. Higher and Higher, Floating Eyes of a Child. Gypsy, Eternity Through a Candle of Life. And this is also 69. This covers had a bit of damage, but I mean the vinyl's okay, so yeah, another one worth checking out. All of these I think are essential if you want to get hold of the Moody Blues. And this is probably one of the best album covers you'll ever see. A Question of Balance. Opens like that, and there we go. That's the whole shebang. And this is very much in the psychedelic side of things. You can see with the colors and whatever, all sorts of strange things were being consumed. And my favorite track on here is Question, the first track. I love that track. It had different parts to it, and I think that's probably where the prog thing comes in. So yeah, Question of Balance, another one worth getting. I've got a few more to go. Seventh Sojourn. There we go, and this is also one of my favorite tracks. Isn't Life Strange? Very interesting lyrics. These guys didn't write songs just about my baby loves me and I love my baby. No, interesting tracks. That's that one. And this is a later one. This is in the late 70s, I think. 81, so we're into the 80s with this one. Long Distance Voyager. Not too bad, not one of my favorites, but there we go. And then this is a live album, Caught Live +5. Not bad for a live recording, I think. And everything's on your Nights in White Satin, Legend of a Mind, Ride My Seesaw, Tuesday Afternoon. That's a song that'll stick in your head. Like I said, it's been going around in my head for days. It's been driving me insane. What do they call them? Earworms. Gypsy, The Sunset. Really a nice live album. Second last, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. Interesting cover that on the Threshold label. What was on here? Story in Your Eyes, Emily's Song After You Came. Nice to Be Here, My Song. Really great album. Interesting artwork there. And then finally, a collection. This is the Moody Blues, and I mean there have been quite a few over the years, and I think this is the first one that I got, so this was my sort of introduction to the Moody Blues. Really dug it, and then I thought, okay, I must just get all the albums. So yeah, like I said, I was never really into this band, but you know, your tastes change over time, and I've really got into them now. There's a whole bunch of photographs in the middle. So that's what I've been listening to of late. Hope you've enjoyed the video. There were a few other things, but I think that was just some new releases. There's a new album coming out. I don't know if it's a new album, but there's a new single out by Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society. That's one worth checking out. The name is... wow, I can't think of the track now, but it always amazes me how, like Ozzy Osbourne, his vocals are very similar. That's probably why they work so well together. So that's coming out. What else have I come across of late? Something in the blues line. I can't think now. But anyway, that's pretty much what I've been listening to of late. So I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll catch you soon with another video. Please, if you like the video, down below, give me a thumbs up. Any comments, more than welcome, as you know. Love to hear from you guys. And take it easy. It's a beautiful day here in Cape Town, although the wind is pumping here, but that's par for the course here in Muizenberg. If you don't like the wind, you better not stay here. The guys with their kite surfers are probably all out at Muizenberg Beach flying off. Sad, there was a guy the other day who actually passed away because he was caught in the wind, took him right out, and apparently he smacked into the ocean, and that was that. But I mean, you know, these speeds these guys get is quite scary sometimes. Anyway, take it easy, and I will catch you soon. Bye-bye.